Hi, Vince.
Hey Dean, how you doing?
Good. This is episode 18. So it didn't take long to find salespeople who like to talk. Who knew? And heads of sales who like to talk even more than salespeople. So tell folks a little bit about you, and then let's drop into our first hypothetical and see how it goes.
Sure. First, happy to be here. Vince Beese, longtime CRO at mostly high tech
Hmm.
companies, venture backed startups. Today, I'm a fractional CRO, helping startups, but in a fractional
Hmm.
capacity. And I'm also the author of Red Zone Selling.
All right. Um, Here's my, especially since you're fractional now, so which means you're signing clients, you're starting new engagements, right? So let's imagine that while a lot of your clients, or most of them, I imagine, are virtual, right? And you don't actually see them necessarily. Uh, this in this hypothetical, they're only 5 minutes from your house, and so on the first day of the first project or engagement you ever have with this new client, you're going to actually go to their office, and so you're walking in there, right? It's Monday, 8 a.m., 8:30. And what's the dream scenario you're walking into as a fractional CRO there? And what's the nightmare scenario you're walking into?
I mean, I think whether it's fractional or if I was joining a company as their CRO, I'll start with the nightmare scenario is that there's a large team in place. Um, all the systems are a complete mess, meaning they're not really integrated or talking
Right.
to each other. Nothing's working properly. You get the vibe of a really dysfunctional culture. Employees aren't happy. You find out then that there's high customer churn, right? And you realize at that moment, like, oh my God, this is not scale. This is completely fix everything. That's the nightmare scenario.
And what's the dream scenario?
The opposite of that. That well, basically, in your conversations, whether again it is as a fractional or a full-time CRO, is that things are as advertised, meaning you've uncovered what the challenges are and the
Right.
good things, and you walk into a situation where it truly is about scale, making things better. That should be your job, right?
Yeah.
More pipeline, more closed deals, more happy customers. And the systems are fairly, integrated and working well. Again, there should be improvements, but it's as advertised and things are functioning. And now your job is to make things better.
All right. So then, in that vein, let's skip ahead and spend about 3 months since you've been hard at work, like getting things underway, right? And someone on the executive team or C-suite level sort of pulls you aside, says like, Vince, I'll tell you now, I understood like the value prop and what we were trying to accomplish. So when we brought you in, that's fantastic. But I didn't really click for me what was going to be different until last night when I was thinking about it. And I had my aha moment about you and what you're doing. What's the aha moment?
So the aha moment about Vince Beese,
Or
I
a
mean,
fractional CRO for that matter, if they're
so
good.
this is the leader saying, "Here's my
Yeah,
aha moment."
it just sort of I understood, we would pay this and get this, but the value that was like above that, I didn't realize that's what we were going to
I
have
will tell
until I
you that the
saw you.
value always comes down to this, regardless, and it always comes down to foundational things
Yeah,
and blocking and tackling. It's never the overly complicated things. I always find with every client and with every company I go to, you've got to get the foundation right. And I
right.
think these leaders then say, well, shoot. Because if you don't get the foundation layer right, how can you do any building,
Yeah,
right?
there's
So it
nothing to
comes
build
down to
on.
that. Like you really know your stuff. You get into the details and the weeds of the details. And that's the aha moment.
All right. Okay, so you had a prior engagement, so even though they needed you to start today, you could only stay in the morning because now you're going to drive downtown. And you're driving downtown because there's a big conference there, and you're one of the speakers. So you're going to get up on stage. And when you're on stage, you're talking to 250 people in that audience. They've come up through the ranks. All of them are starting their first ever CRO job tomorrow. So, like, they've come up through, but to have the title and all the responsibility, tomorrow is the first day that it's going to happen for them. Some are excited, some are weirded out. Who knows? And so you're going to give a little talk to them, and you're the expert, right? It's full time and fractional. And so I'm going to start 3 sentences for you, and you finish them with as much time as you need to finish out that thought. Okay.
Okay.
So number one, you're talking to these guys and say, like, look, I'm going to tell you this right now. the when you're just starting out as a brand new CRO at a new company, new employer, new client, like what you're going to be surprised by first is what?
Being at the top is extremely lonely. You can't
Mhm.
complain up and you can't complain down. You better find some friends outside of your job that you
Get a
can bitch
dog.
into.
That's good. No one has ever said that. I don't think.
I mean, your
Uh,
CEO is going to complain to you, right?
yeah,
Your direct reports are going to complain to you, including the lowest on the totem pole. They don't have any fear of going to the CRO and saying, this
yeah,
isn't working and that isn't working, right? But what you can't do is you can't go back down to your direct reports and
right.
bitch and complain about things, nor can you go to your
No.
CEO or board and complain about things. So you're there for improvements and making suggestions that will improve everything. So it's lonely.
All right, fair
Get a
enough.
friend, get a
That's a
dog.
that's a great answer. Okay, so you're working through your speech. About halfway through, you say, "No, look, I'm going to tell you something now that um, that I really had to sort of internalize." This is you saying, right? So many companies, when it comes to the CRO role and what needs to be done, many companies just don't understand what.
Many companies do not understand two big things that growth typically takes time, it
Mhm.
doesn't happen overnight. And the other big thing is every company I've ever worked for thinks that they have the product market fit.
Mhm.
The product is not the problem, it's X, Y, and Z. And I will tell you out there that the problem is always about what you are in the market, meaning most products out there today are somewhere between a nice to have and a need to have.
Right.
And that is a hard thing to sell in this economy. If you have something that truly is a need to have in a big market, you're doing really well. But that's not a majority of the companies
Mm-mm.
selling out there, especially if you're in SaaS. So the thing as a CRO that you need to understand is when you go into a new opportunity is that if you're truly not a need to have right now, you are going to take time to really have the growth you want.
When you've probably come across this before. When I first started in sales, I was in sales like relatively early in my career, and then on the tech side, and then towards near the end of my career in corporate. I mean, and you've heard the concept of some things are bought and some things are sold.
Mhm.
Yeah. So in case, for anyone like watching, an example of this might be term life insurance and whole life insurance, or with annuities and cash back and investment component and all that kind of stuff. Right. Term life insurance is bought. You just go online. 75,000 companies are selling it. You just pick the one that you've heard of, or you pick the one with the best price or whatever. There's nobody there like convincing you to buy term life insurance. And then, but anything that's complicated, anything that would require sort of an intellectual and emotional investment, or anything that you're maybe not quite ready in that stage of life, but someone wants to sell it. Some things have to be sold.
Yep.
Most things in B2B have to be sold. Everything in complex B2B has to be sold. They're never just bought. And so that's kind of like what you're talking about. Like as far as product market fit, you need to understand whether you're selling something that people buy or you're selling something that has to be sold.
Yeah,
And
and what I'm adding to that is that
yeah,
you'll be told as the CRO that you have product market fit.
yeah,
That is not a problem. And I'm telling you, you do not have
no.
product market fit.
I mean, you might, but it's really unlikely. So, like, I'll decide
Unless
if
you're
you have
selling
product
a
market fit.
true AI product that is solving a problem
Yeah,
today in this market, you're probably not doing as well as you thought you were going to be
no,
doing at this point of the year.
no. Okay, and then uh, as we sort of like want to move you off stage, but before you go, for the fractional CROs in that audience, right? You want to make sure that you pass along one lesson about, and it's this: like, if I have one thing to tell you before I leave here about getting your next client, it would be what?
Play the long game. It's about relationships. As
Yeah.
we know today, clients are really educated when it comes to your company, your offering, your industry. There's all the information in the world out there. So they know a lot more than you think they do. What they don't know is they don't know about you. So,
Right.
what are you doing to build that relationship with them so you don't come off as a sleazy used car salesperson? And that is always, if you take the approach that this is a long term that I'm building towards, it's going to pay off dividends. So build and start building those relationships today. Don't expect anything in return, of course, and always provide value. Always provide value, and you'll stand out from the competition. And by the way, salespeople aren't going away with AI. Quota carrying
No,
salespeople,
not at all.
especially when we talked about complex deals, it's you've just strengthened your position, quite frankly, in an
Yep.
organization.
Yep. No, I agree. Okay, so they finally managed to shoo you off stage. You were kind of chatty, and so you stayed on stage to the maximum time they would give you, right? So now you're going to go out onto the conference floor. And there's booths out there, and there's people sort of walking around. There's ad hoc meetings happening. You've got a couple of meetings set up already before you walked into the building, kind of thing. And so you're talking to your next prospective clients, right? Trying to decide if they're a fit for you and you're a fit for them, and so on. As you're talking to prospective clients, because you're a fractional CRO, what do they tend to overrate and what do they tend to underrate in their conversations with you?
I think from a kind of a tool set perspective, right? They overrate the amount of sales enablement tools that they have. Like the big difference today in selling versus 10, 15 years ago is the amount of different tools that we have today, which is good and bad. It's
Yeah.
good because it hopefully automates some processes. It's bad because the sales organization has to learn all those different tool sets and so on and so forth. The thing that they underrate, quite frankly, if we're going to switch to that, is if CRM is done right and CRM is set up for the salesperson, it's extremely effective tool
Yeah.
and really efficient when it's set up properly. Meaning, most organizations don't set their CRM up for
No.
their sales reps;
They set it up to
set it up for
manage
leadership.
salespeople. Yeah.
So if you set it up properly, it's a tool that salespeople will use, and they will value, more importantly. So I think that is underrated.
No, I agree. Almost all organizations, when they bring in Salesforce or whatever they're going to set up, right? You can either set up a CRM so that it's managing salespeople, or you can set up a CRM so it's facilitating deals. And almost nobody sets it up to facilitate deals. They just want more data, more input from salespeople. So, for projections, which are important, but it's not actually there to drive the
Think about it.
organization.
It's almost the only solution where the end user is an afterthought.
Yeah.
If the solution I'm selling to an audience, we always think
Yeah.
about the end user experience and what's that going to be like. Think
Yep.
about CRM for salespeople.
Yeah. Terrible.
Most organizations never think about what the experience is for salespeople, nor do they survey them, nor do they care, right?
Yeah. Well, I agree. Okay, so you're talking to your prospective customers. As you're talking to them, what's like a red flag and what's a green flag when you're talking to someone? Like,
Big red flag is lack of transparency, meaning you can tell that they're hiding certain things. Could be numbers, revenue numbers, metrics, that sort of thing. And they're unwilling or unable to articulate the real challenges ahead for them. Everything's great. Like that to me is scary. Like I don't get the full picture and I don't get what reality is. I only get good stuff. That's a big red flag for me.
what's a green flag? What do you like?
I like open and honest conversations coming in. Hey, Vince, here's where we are.
Right.
Here's where we'd like to go. I'll be honest with you. Here's the challenges we've had over the last 90, 180 days, whatever that might be. It's not a perfect world. And that's why we're bringing you in. So when I come in, there's no surprises, no big surprises, right?
Okay. And then as you're, you said you're recently became a fractional CRO. And so, but as you're talking to companies who are looking for someone to head up either fractionally or full time, head up sales, what's different talking to them today and what's different in selling today versus 5 years ago?
AI,
Yeah, it's mostly AI.
automation. Every conversation starts with how can we take advantage of AI? And that's still the big question. And I don't think anyone has the right answer. I think it's a progression. The fact of the matter is, even today, the average sales rep is taking advantage of something like ChatGPT to automate a lot of what they're doing on their own without their
Right.
company's help. So
Yeah.
now the question becomes, as a well-running sales organization, how are you implementing AI to increase productivity and true efficiency with the sales organization? And I'm not talking about eliminating bodies. I'm talking about how do I make it even better for salespeople to really focus on doing their jobs, which is building relationships,
Yeah.
right? Creating long-term value, right? That's the
Yeah.
big question. Every single day, people wake up, and some people are ahead. The good news is that you could have a competitor that's way ahead or another organization that's way ahead on AI, and you probably could catch up like that because it's not a
Yeah.
first person conquers. It's we're all learning. It's going to
Yep.
evolve. 3 months is going to be different from 6 months from now, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
That's the good news. But you have to start learning, and you have to start doing experiments with AI for sure.
Tell me before we wind down. Tell me about your book. Very few of my guests have a book. Only you
I'm
so
super
far and Kara
excited.
Brown.
You could see it right here.
Mhm.
Red Zone Selling. It's the ultimate playbook for high performing enterprise sellers. So it's basically accumulation of my career. I've always been selling to enterprise, so bigger, more complex deals. And what I think we've lost in sales over the last bunch of years is not process. I think process is tightened up everywhere. I think everybody has a methodology and a
Right.
process and you adhere to it. I think it's the ability to think on your feet and be creative. And that comes down to plays. So the book is a sports analogy to football mostly, but think about an elite quarterback. When they get the ball on the 20-yard line, what do? They don't throw a touchdown pass.
Hmm.
They work methodically down the field to set themselves up to what? The red zone. In the NFL, 75% of touchdowns are scored within the red zone. In sales, 75% of deals are closed in late stages. Very similar. So, what is the plays that you're calling as you read the situation, as you get on calls? What are you doing? And some of this is improvising. Some of this is knowing the situation as you go into a certain deal. So I break down the process into three zones: yellow, green, and red. Which means where are you in the deal?
Right.
And here's suggested deals, plays that you can run in these different zones. Which ultimately you want to get to the red zone and focus and close at a high rate. So that's what the book is. It's really a resource book for sellers to be able to think better on their feet and call the right plays at the right time.
All right. All right. Who should be contacting you these days, and what's the best way to get to you?
Yeah. A couple of different personas. One, tech founders
Hmm.
that are looking for coaching or support when it comes to their GTM, right? How to button it up, either going up market or going after enterprise. Sales leaders, because with the book, there'll be workshops that we can do. One of the things that I can do from the book is create what I call the Red Zone Selling Playmaker, which literally will look at their current process and assessment of what they're doing and say, here's 3 plays we should run right now.
Right.
And then, of course, enterprise sellers. So I'd say those 3 cohorts make a lot of sense to reach out, and there's ways I can help each one of them.
All right. And the best way to do it, go to your website, go to LinkedIn.
VinceBeese.com or LinkedIn. The great thing about my name is I think I'm the only Vince Beese on LinkedIn. So
All right, Vince, this has been great. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
no, thanks for
Fantastic.
having me on.
You gave like a lot of answers no one's ever given before, which is like good TV. All right. Thanks, Vince. See you,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye.